weren't allowed to say the word traffic in the car.
Because it was a jinx?
It was a jinx. My sister, to this day.
That was your N-word.
Yeah.
The T word.
I like hip hop a lot, and
Sure.
I still to this day don't know the difference between a freestyle and a cipher. A
Yeah.
cipher's like off the head, but it doesn't necessarily rhyme, right?
Here's what I don't.
I don't know
A
why
cipher to me is that they're in a circle.
Yeah,
That's
like
it. My only difference is like shape based.
A
And I know
cipher's-
I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right.
Oh, really?
I want to say cipher, but I think it's cipher.
Like
I think it's a cipher,
We
yeah.
just keep thinking of cipher sounds.
It's a freestyle in a circle. It's like when like people are taking turns almost. But I go down the battle rap rabbit hole a lot.
Oh yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
And now it's funny because one of the guys that I thought was just strictly a battle rapper is this guy, Roan, that guy Adam Ferrone,
Yeah.
who is like a barstool sports guy.
Oh
And I
really?
was like, oh, you're like kind of a comedian as well.
Right,
He's like,
right,
he's a
right.
Philly guy, and he's fantastic at battle rap. Like,
He's
amazing.
really good.
But then you listen to his tracks, and you're like, oh, that's why you're a battle rap.
Yeah.
The beats. He's a good rapper, but the beats stink. The beats
Right,
are fucking
right.
bad.
Well, most of the battle rappers aren't like good studio rappers. or
I think
don't
that's
come
like
out
a
with good
known
studio
thing. That's
albums.
why.
Yeah.
But I have more fun watching the battle rapping.
Yeah.
And they
of
get
course.
pretty like
Oh.
you know, comedy has roast battle. They
Dude.
get pretty vicious.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you? Because it really has changed a lot. Like, I remember watching it like years ago. I remember they had like a HBO one years ago, and it would just be like the two guys on stage or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like there's whole teams on stage.
Yeah.
There's like it's organized. They repeat lines over and over. Like there's this whole like I don't know. There's this whole like architecture to it that
Yeah.
you're like this is wild.
It becomes like poetry. It's
It's
like
become-
weird like
Yes.
slam poetry.
Yeah.
It's become way more of a spectacle. Yeah, they get
100%.
intense. And they'll bring up like I've noticed because I've gotten way too deep into this, but they'll bring up like old shit that happened, but like street stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be like, "You didn't have my back when everything went down and guns was blazing."
They call a lawyer on stage.
They bring their cousin out. They go, remember? Remember we were at the movie with him?
This is attorney Frank
Yeah.
Goldstein.
Yeah. He holds up evidence.
He brings a subpoena.
Yeah, they just like throw a subpoena at the end of it. And they're like,
Subpoena.
"You just got served for real." The whole place goes nuts. Yeah, man. It's gotten so much more theatrical, and I love it. 'Cause
Oh, it's great.
It used to just be like, very like one-on-one, very cosmetic, and now it is like it's so involved, and it's
It
it's
used to
awesome.
be 8 Mile, now it's Wild and Out. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, it's also like the older I get, the more I become like an old man with my rap tape. Because like Wu-Tang Clan, I was speaking of me getting angry when I'm drunk. I was at Patty's one night, and this kid, I think he's like an improv guy, and whenever I see this guy, we always get into arguments. You've met this kid. I forget his first name, but we were there, and he brought up, he's like, Wu-Tang Clan is dad rock for hip hop. And I'm like, what are you? And I freaked out.
God.
And he was like, no, they're not even in the top 10 of hip hop in the past, whatever. And I'm like, and I lost.
Who's yours?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't crack Jacob's top 10.
And I was already loaded, and I got so vicious about it. I was
Yeah,
like, you
of
don't even know what
course.
you're talking about. Like, I'm freaking out. And then I'm involving Liam, the bartender. I'm like, Liam, can you believe what this guy said? And I'm trying to get a whole, like,
Sean's face is full burgundy
my God.
at this point.
my blood pressure was through the roof.
Was
Take
that
my pills?
was that when Joe Bartnick put you in the penalty box?
No, that
Oh,
was
okay.
I got into it with some guy because he was I think it was a Leah Janine. I get into people all the time. I don't fight anymore, but I'll verbally fight.
I love that our podcast is about mostly like us not liking confrontation, but when you get Jameson in you, you kind of seem to dig
yeah, it's
it.
like the most stereotypical thing
Yeah.
in the world. And then we were there once, and this guy was really being a real scumbag to Aaliyah, that woman Aaliyah that does comedy. I think she used to do porn.
Yeah.
And she does
Oh,
comedy.
Leah Janine,
And he
yeah.
was like, let's see. And he was like, it was like going over the line. And then I got into it with him, and that was the night that Joe Bartnick, how did he say it? He
He
goes,
was because Joe Bartnick has that
Distinctive
fucking
you know Joe.
distinctive
Yeah.
voice, and he was just like, had to put Donnelly in the penalty box. And I was like, oh, shit. he was like, he needed a timeout, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, man, it is true. It is you man. It's so hard because you get so funny when you get
it's
angry.
like comically angry.
It's comically angry. Your hands are all over people, but in a way where it's
Yeah.
like it's not really threatening.
Am I known for it? Like, are people like
To me.
don't? Yeah, okay,
To me, and it's hilarious,
meaning,
and
like,
I love
are people
it.
like off put by it, where they're like, oh, I gotta fucking hang out with Donnelly. He's
No.
gonna be drunk, like yelling at me.
No.
All right,
No.
Cool. All right,
If
no.
anything, they're like hopeful.
Okay.
They're like, let's hope he gets a couple shots, and like somebody says, because you're never
It's
really
like
like.
Aurora Borealis. You're hoping.
Yeah. It's kind of true. Yeah, you're like, it usually comes around, like these are the certain combinations that need to be there for it to happen. And it's like, it's like enough whiskey and then something kind of innocuous that sets you off. It's nothing, because that's the fun part, because it's never anything where you go, this is going to lead to a fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where you're like, okay, like he did something where like he like hit on his girlfriend or something like that, where you're like, oh, this is gonna be a fight. It's
be a
something
problem.
like that where
Yeah,
they're just like,
it's legitimate.
they're like, I think Fat Joe's overrated.
Yeah.
And then like you're like, I gotta go outside for a minute. Like,
yeah, it's difficult to deal with me. I think
well,
sometimes.
it's not difficult. It's
like,
fun.
It's fun to watch.
It's fun
'Cause
to
you know
watch.
it's harmless. That's why I think I get away with
Yes.
it on stage, because people are like, cause that was like that famous. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast. Did I tell the out east Long Island thing, the Mike Racine story?
No.
Let me tell it. Do you know this one,
No,
right?
I mean, I might.
It was
but
me,
tell it again.
Soder, Ophira Eisenberg, Mike Racine, and stupid Jonathan Morvay. I don't know if you guys know John. This
I
idiot goes, my cousin wants to have a comedy show at his golf club in L.A. And I'm like, oh, his cousin? He must be like in his 30s, 40s. We get out there. Me and my ex-wife, it was right before we got married. We see Rolls Royce after BMW. And it was all white hair. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. The average age in this audience was 68, 70 years old. It was like
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
So I go, dude, what the hell? Like, what is your deal? And he's like kind of half laughing, like he like pulled one over on us. And he goes, I go, what can I say? What can I say? It was like a Jewish country club in Long Island. And I go, what can I say? Because you can say whatever I want. So I go, I can just go and call them rich and do whatever. And he's like, do whatever you want. And I went up there and I go, what's up, you rich old fucks? And about
So I
20%
love
of the
Sean
audience
doing an
was-
impression of Sean.
yeah. And about, yeah, right? So meta. And about 20% of them were kind of like laughing. The rest of them were like, screw you. And then I kind of made fun of them and got a portion of them, and it went fine. Racine, Mike Racine, who we all know is a wackadoo, he went up there, and it was so brilliant. And I haven't laughed this hard in I don't know how long. He goes, oh, hey, everybody. And he goes, oh, give it up for your wait staff. Give it up for your wait staff. He goes, they all clap for the wait staff. And he goes, you know, those people you don't look at in the eye when they're serving you. and so I thought Soder was going to have a heart. Soder was in the back, losing his mind. He was coughing up lung. He was laughing so hard. It was one of my favorite nights ever. And then Ophira Eisenberg goes up and just absolutely everybody bombs except for Ophira.
Yeah,
It was
for
exactly
sure.
what they wanted.
Right.
And it was like Jewish. I don't even know if she was a mom yet. And just destroyed the whole place. It was so much fun. But it was like, but the reason I bring it up is because I'm not actually trying to be mean. Like even
No.
people are like, oh, you're yelling. I'm like, I'm not though. 'Cause I'm not. I'm just. It's for comic
You threaten
effect.
almost every show to kick somebody in the face.
Yeah,
Oh
but-
yeah.
Yeah, but
That's a very specific and an exact line.
I
Yeah.
use it all the time. But it's one of these things where I'm like, but don't you know I don't.
Laugh harder at that, sir. I'll kick you in the face. Damn it, Sean.
If you're in the audience, don't you think they know that I'm kidding, or they don't know?
Most
I
people.
think some people don't.
I
know.
think most of the time they do. I think it's like if people that grew up in like a tumultuous household recognize that as joking.
Yes.
But people who like never
Right.
like they've never like seen like just like Irish or Italian parents just yelling at each other all the time. They're like pearl clutching. But like for me, I'm like this is like when my uncle got mad in traffic. Like this is hilarious. Nothing's gonna happen. I think that's why I find it so endearing because I'm
Yeah.
like this was my Irish uncle getting mad at 5 at rush hour.
Oh yeah, we weren't allowed to say the word traffic in the car.
Because it was a jinx.
It was a jinx. My sister to this day.
That was your N word.
Yeah.
The T word.
I think there's a pileup. You shut your mouth.
I love everybody getting like real quiet when somebody goes, "Oh, are we in traffic?"
Oh my God. Yeah. But it's our word. We're in the car. We can use it.
That's hilarious. As Irish people, that's our word. You can't use it.
But my sister to this day calls it the T word because she was so affected. My dad despised traffic. Like, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
totally,
My
man.
dad despised traffic. Like, he made. Like I'll be in the car with him and I'll be commenting. I'm not even driving.
Yeah.
And I'll be commenting on what's going on in the traffic because
Yeah,
that,
you get road rage for me.
Yeah.
I'm always like, hey man, we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's even the better. I remember when I was driving. How are you with traffic in the car?
I'm all right. Because
Yeah.
I look at it as like I've done so many incompetent moves as a driver throughout my life that when somebody makes one, I was like, hey, that was me. That was me one time. Like that was me 6 years ago. Like I'm like, I don't care. Yeah.
You think of it all as karma?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Well, you strike me as like I don't know you that well, Anthony, but you strike me as a very zen guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty chill. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that, and then I was just told it enough. And you know when like people sort of tell you how you are, then you're like, well, then I guess I'll just lean into this.
Yeah.
So like I've gotten more and more to the point. It's like it's like borderline like obscene, you know, where it's just like Jesus, man, have a heartbeat that goes above whatever.
We're checking his pulse.
Yeah, have some passion.
Are you a conflict avoider, or you're just so chill that it never comes up anymore?
No, I mean I'm a conflict avoider for sure. Just because like I don't know. I mean I find most stuff is like not worth it for what like because I was around like I grew up in North Jersey where it was like conflict was like we're fighting.
Right.
You know, so
right.
it's like, to me, I'm like,
It's like survival at that
yeah,
point.
and it's like the end game is always like a fist fight.
Mhm.
So I'm like, don't even go that route because like that's where you're supposed to go. So I'm like, I don't know, I don't care about I care about almost nothing in terms of like nothing's like worth it to me except like the big ones, you know.
That's Long Island was the same exact way, and I equate it. I equate everything like so, and that's kind of what the podcast we call it. It's for recovering people pleasers because we're like we'll just put up with shit so there's no confrontation.
Yeah.
Or we'll make up scenarios in our heads where people are insulting us when they're like it begets itself. It kind of like creates this like snowball effect. We're trying to be more assertive as people.
Yes.
But I think he's right. Like you have the same kind of thing too.
He kind of nailed how I feel about my anger to a T. Is like I'll be on the phone with a customer service lady, and my head, like my ears will get red, like I'm gonna get into a fight, like I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was like, am I gonna have to fucking fight this lady that we're arguing now?
I guess I'm flying to Wichita, fighting Samantha from Delta.
Parked outside a call center with brass knuckles.
Yeah.
I'm like all upset. I'm like, I don't want to fight her, but we have to.
Wasn't that the bad? Have you ever had those moments too where you like it like it's a fight or it's an anger, but like there is like distance or whatever involved, so you have to maintain your like rage for like the duration, so when you get there you're still as like passionate about whatever.
Yes.
Like I always lose it. Like I've tried like I don't know if you guys get like this too, but like with confrontation my whole body is on fire. Like I watch people like Greg Stone's one of my best friends. Like there's so many businesses he just can't go back to because he's like gotten like we'll walk by like yogurt shops. He's like I can't go in that at 16 handles. Like I got a real thing with like someone from there. But like you could see his heart rate doesn't raise high enough. My whole body becomes like Phoenix, Arizona. It's like 200 degrees. Everything's red. I'm shaking. It's crazy.
You don't have much middle ground.
And there's no middle ground. That's the issue. That's why I don't like to get there because it's like it's physically uncomfortable. And then like I know myself to go like, okay, I'm gonna just throw out let's fight.
Man, I really feel that.
Yeah.
And I'll
I
go
feel the
like
same way.
nuclear. Like
yes,
go,
exactly.
And I'm not even
dead or in
Irish or
jail.
Italian.
Every time in my head it goes dead or in jail. That's where we're going.
Fiery Italian.
Yeah.
But what's so funny is I'm the same way. I can feel even to the point where I was in the West Village last night and I'm walking and like when you know somebody's off, and I was like walking the same path as this dude that I'm like, oh, this guy's got a knife or he's gonna go do something to somebody, and I was like, and I just could feel every muscle in my body went like, okay, get ready to punch this guy in the face.
Yeah.
Because it might happen. And then I took a beat and I waited and just let the guy go. And I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
But I definitely have that whenever there's like, and I think that's just like, what do they call that? Like, I guess like the
fight
adrenaline.
or flight.
Fight or flight kind of thing where it's like.
Mine's always to pop the one AirPod out and clutch my keys.
Yep.
That's what I do.
100%.
Yeah. I immediately when you know something's up, you know.
Do you do the thing too where you go to like a mental place differently? Like I'll do a thing like I'll change my face. I'll change my face as if I'm like going into war mode for like a split second.
It's like gritted teeth. What is
yeah, kind of like gritted teeth and like a long distance stare, almost like LeBron in the fourth quarter. Just like it's winning time.
I have a weird thing where I'll start. Like I'm in a.
By the way, I haven't been in a fight since I was in like first grade.
Right.
But are you trying to establish like a level of like somebody to be scared of you? That's like
A
you're
level-
peacocking?
A level of somebody, not even somebody to be scared, but like my body to make a physical change.
Oh.
It's almost a testament to how dumb I am that I think I could pull this off. Like where it's like, do you ever see Split?
Yeah,
Where it's like
yeah.
I could like just become the beast.
Where they watch the shadow and he goes like, it just, and then all it was that actor going like this.
Yeah. But me, I'm James McAvoy in his trailer trying to get ready for a role.
He just didn't drink water for a day. All his veins were out.
I know what you are saying though, because I do a thing. If I think something's coming, I'll start going like this to my. Like I'm
Yes.
like a bully from a high school movie. I'm like, you ready to get pummeled? I don't know what I'm doing, but it tempers my.
You don't belong in this neighborhood, do you?
I put
my fist.
I put together like a fight plan in my head that I'm not capable of executing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
100%.
gonna spin kick this guy in his leg. I'm gonna put him in the headlock. I'm gonna grapple. When meanwhile, if there's a TV at a bar behind me and somebody tells me to look at it, I physically am like,
It's like, every fight thing I know is from Street Fighter, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna Liu Kang kick this guy in the face, and then fireballs will come out of my foot.
And I always think too, people will be impressed.
Yeah,
They'll be like, I didn't know you could pull that off in
Yeah.
real life. Yeah.
Well-
Meanwhile, I struggle to do prenatal cardio 4 days a week.
you think you're just gonna turn into Statham all of a sudden?
Dude, I full on. I had a moment. I've talked about this where it was after the cellar party. I walked outside. It was like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And this dude was like in my face, and I was like, no. I was like drunk, and he punched me in the face,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't get knocked down,
Oof.
and I was just so excited to
Yeah.
get knocked down. And I was talking about it last night. I was like De Niro in Raging Bull. I'm like, you knock me down, Ray. And then my Uber pulled up, and I'm like, there's my Uber. And
That's
I
so
was
funny.
smiling, and I go, there it is. I go, and I was just laughing, but I didn't even go into the. I don't know. I think because I was loaded, but I was like, I didn't go in the Uber. I fought the guy back. I
Yeah.
just took the punch, and I was standing there, and he was like ready to go, and I was like, there's my Uber. And I
That's
I just took
hilarious.
off.
That's so funny. Where
Yeah.
you're like, I'd fight you, but my lift is here. Yeah.
Because I'm like you. I'm like, the last fight I was in was like, it was after first grade, but it was like drunk. Like, I'm talking like 29, 30 tops, where it's like way too late.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're having fights, and it's always drinking that does it. And yeah, I've gotten punched, but it's always in the heat of the moment. That I was like, that was out of nowhere, and I just took it, and I'm like,
Yes.
maybe I am a boxer.
Right, yeah. You're like, oh, maybe I'm
pretty
Homer.
sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm a Klitschko.
I didn't realize I got a chin on me.
Yeah.
Creed 3 is about me.
I remember I was going to fight a kid when I was in the 6th grade. Me and this kid were going to fight, and we got into a beef on the bus in the morning, and you're talking about it fading.
Yeah,
'cause-
right.
And it was the beef that I had to stand up. I was like, all right, dude, we're fighting when we get off the bus at the end of the day. And then as the day went on, I was like, man, it really wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And then we're about to, I'm like, all right, dude, let's go, let's do it. And he was like, man, it's just, his exact line, man, it's just too cold to be fighting. I was like, all right.
That's the bad, like two guys, and you see that moment so often in like grade school, middle school, throughout high school. It's like that excuse where it's like, I would, but I just realized I have soccer. You're like, I respect soccer. Like nobody wants to actually fight.
Nobody
Like
wants to actually
it
fight
hurts
ever.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like
That's how wars should be done. Instead of actually going to war, it
Yeah.
should be one country just like, dude, it's like way too cold. to be fighting. That's
we
how cold
we
will
got the
never
Olympics
happen,
coming
maybe.
up, you
Yeah.
know. Like
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
would be wrong for the world, you know. It's like people need sport.
We got a new Avatar coming out over here. We just really need to put
Respect the
all of our focus
Navi,
behind
bro.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have Putin. He's like, we have a celebration going on, but it doesn't seem like he mattered. Like Klitschko, what would happen if they actually had a showdown Klitschko versus Putin? 'Cause I feel like Putin is like that fake, like they have him like shirtless on a horse.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have what's his name?
Zelensky.
I said what did I say? I said Klitschko.
Said
didn't I?
Klitschko.
Yeah,
I was like, Klitschko would kill
Yeah, I was like, I mean, Sean, this guy was a heavyweight champ for years.
He's knocking Putin out, bro.
This guy was just half naked on a horse
Also
once.
has a doctorate. They're both like
Yeah,
doctors
yeah.
and shit. But no, I meant Zelensky versus Putin. I think Putin's like just like, oh, I work out these muscles so I can take a picture of myself shirtless.
Totally.
And Zelensky would probably fuck him up if I had to guess.
Well, he's like fighting for his life. It seems
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Collar guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Putin's like he's like a Trump kind of guy where they just want to like extol masculinity to like fool dumb people into being like
Yes.
that guy's tough.
Yes,
Trump is
yeah.
like 80 years old. But same thing with Putin. Yeah, Zelensky's like he's like wiry. He's like a fullback.
Yeah. Exactly. It seems like he's in fantastic shape. With those flak jackets on him, he looks pretty great.
You just mentioned Trump. I was at a, I don't like to brag, but I was at a Chili's in Maine recently, and I caught on the TV they had an advertisement. They were selling Trump children's coloring book.
Oh my God, man! Is it not just a parent?
And it said like just a few left.
Low ticket warning.
People are buying them.
People are definitely buying. Well, even remember when he had the NFTs and they were like, it's just, and it was like apparently I think they said that they stole them from like online, like they weren't even real NFTs, and they sold out. They sold out of like thousands of dollars.
Oh, with his head on like Superman's body.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm a kid and I don't care how Republican my parents were, and they got me a fucking Donald Trump coloring book, I'd freak.
Yeah.
You'd be
There wasn't one better coloring book.
Yeah.
There. It's a guy sitting behind a desk.
I like
signing
Batman.
bills.
Are you crazy? Yeah, yeah.
No, you know he's not. There's no way. They have him like selling ties and steaks.
Yeah.
No, they have him probably as a superhero in the
He's got
book.
Hulk Hogan in a headlock.
Like you wouldn't know. I guarantee you the book is him like fighting. Because they have a whole. I don't even know if it's. I feel like it's dissipated because you don't hear about it as much as he's not the president. But like, they have people who are like just devoted, like a cult leader to this guy. So like, it's like if you had like it's like if a Christian kid got a Jesus coloring book, they'd be psyched because they're like a born again Christian kid with a Jesus coloring book. That's like the Trump.
Right, but
same thing.
do they have I mean, they probably just have Jesus doing the miracles. They probably don't have Jesus like outside the realm of that. He's not like beating up Mike Tyson or like benching 350 or like whatever. I see
just
what
doing
Ray's
a
saying.
kickflip.
Yeah. Here's Jesus at the Oscars with Margot Robbie.
But it also shows you the main goal of all that stuff is like he's like, hey, the longer I stay,
Totally.
you guys know me, the longer I can sell you your kids coloring books, like full on. That's what it is.
But he's not even going to be alive by the time those kids can vote.
No, he's not.
You know?
No,
Yeah, it is a wild thing. He's like probably the only person ever used the presidency as like a marketing plan.
Yeah.
Like most people, it's like that's the end game. He's like, I'm really gonna move some stakes because of this thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just like another like way to get himself out there.
Stepping stone.
Yeah. It's like, what is your end game, man? He's like, open the university back up.
I just have such a poor person's mentality.
Yeah.
I would like capitalize on nothing, And
What you mean? Oh, if you're a
just
president,
me, yeah, I'd be like, oh, we did it. All right.
Oh, totally.
You would do because I think the only thing he didn't do was like the job of president. He was just trying to sell shit. But there are all these stories where they're like, hey, you have to read this stuff. He's like, nah, you read it. It was like me in school. But I skimmed it.
Yeah.
Which I kind of get the mentality of because I'm lazy.
Totally,
So
man.
I'm kind of like, hey, I
But
get
that's
it.
not who you want as the
No,
president.
No,
the
of
guy
course.
leading.
You never want to see yourself in the president.
You don't want him skimming through instructions for a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
I think we'll just play it by ear.
You want them to seem like aliens to you in terms of like just like their approach to the world.
Yeah.
Like you never want to go like, it's like something I would do. That's like crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, that's why people voted for him. I
Yeah,
know
of course.
He seems like a dude I'd like to have a beer with. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
no,
No.
you should not like understand them.
Yeah.
Like they should be like, like let's sit down and have a beer, and they start talking about legislation. You're like, I'm away, get out of here.
Boring.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go hang out with that guy Trump.
Yeah.
That guy's
exactly.
fun.
Yeah.
Me and him are gonna go watch Young Sheldon.
Just
chill, dude.
Let me ask you guys this: does the Trump impression ever go the way of Borat? Maybe my wife. Does it ever go? Will it ever become a joke upon itself, where it's like so much? It's done so much that it's lame.
What's wrong with the
'Cause it's
Borat
still-
impression?
Oh shit! I forgot that's like your closer.
It's
dude.
half my ass.
You're Borat.
I loved that, when what's it called, when they made like Borat 2, it was able to come back for a little bit,
Yes.
because there's some where I'm like, as much as it gets like it becomes so ubiquitous and like rotten, like, but I hate seeing some go. Like Borat, I was like, I am sad to see this go. I
Yes.
legitimately
Because it's
love
actually
that
based
voice.
off a funny
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. But as far as the Trump thing goes, it's so super saturated. But you just see even more. I see more Trump impression clips now than
Yeah.
ever almost.
Yeah.
So many people are doing it and getting a lot of views off of it.
Yeah.
Well, that guy, what's his name, Matt Friend, who does all those impressions.
Yeah.
He's like really good impressionist. And I saw 4 different clips of him on the news doing Trump, like to a T. Like he does the hand. It's probably the best one I've seen. And I'm like, it feels like it's 5 years ago. Like I'm like, shouldn't that have died out like comedically?
Yeah.
Well, you know, at that point, you know.
Well, I think it was like everyone was so on edge with him as president that like not only did you have to like listen to the main guy, and like in the beginning it was like Anthony Tamanek doing it, and you're like, all right, this is fun. Like
He was great.
we need some kind of like some kind of butting up against this, which is like cathartic. But then after a while, you're like, I can't hear that voice anymore.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I think time being away from it, you're like, oh, I could hear it again, because it is a really fun voice. The hand gestures, there's like there's a lot to it. Like
And it's not hard to do. I feel like anybody can do it.
Well, that's probably why it
'Cause you
sticks
just
around
kinda
so
do
long.
the cadence, and
And
like,
it's like doing the Christopher Walken thing for a while. where it's
Yeah.
like I'm so bad at impressions. But like watching this guy Matt Friend do it, I'm like, oh, he has like the whole package of it. I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying myself watching this right now. But most of them I say, I'm like, I'm so done
it's
with
just like
it.
done. But when somebody does it, like I was listening to like Shane Gillis's album the other day, and like he
Yeah.
kind of walks you through how to do a Trump impression on
And
one of the
the
tracks.
album?
Yeah, and it's like it's really fun.
and he adds a new angle too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
What's his angle?
Like I think he just kind of like he first of all tells you like everybody's like people say I don't know exactly how he did it. You just listen like, but he's like you just kind of got to do this. You say it like this.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of roasting Trump and at the same time doing a pretty
pretty
solid
good
impression.
impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him do it. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
And
But yeah, but so it's like, but no, it was, I think it was. That's why it's the untouchable factor with this freaking guy. It's like I think it'll just be around until I die. Like I think it's just gonna be. It might lessen, but it'll probably come back at times. And you know, even when this guy dies, it'll come back. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just around forever.
Well, it's such a distinct voice because he's like he's like a professional wrestler. So it's like
Yeah.
it's such an
Literally, he was in it.
yeah. He's the only guy to ever be in like the WWE Hall of Fame and be
Oh,
president.
he's taken a Stone Cold Stunner. I've seen it.
Yeah, that's so insane. Like that. Oh man, he is someone. I always think it's funny that like they would have to like rewrite like the rule book and stuff because they're like, well, I never thought we'd have to put in like you can't throw ham at a UN meeting, but like I guess we have to like write that in now.
But let me ask you a question pertaining to the podcast.
Sure.
We've been asking some of these to our guests. Oh, you're the first guest we're having on.
Oh shit!
We're our
Wow,
first
inaugural.
guest. Very
Wow,
first guest.
man,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
flattered.
Thank you.
So you ever do this? And I think it's up for debate. We've asked it a couple times. I think people are like, most answer like no because it's such a huge thing to do. Have you ever had a moment where you had to like amicably, not even amicably, like break up with a friend? Have you ever had that happen?
Ooh, that's a great
Where
question.
you literally, because the first way that we thought about the question, which nobody's going to do because talk about avoiding confrontation, would be like, hey, I just can't hang out with you anymore.
Yeah,
Which I
yeah.
think you're going to find like 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million people maybe
Yeah.
have done that, you know?
Well,
But have you ever had a moment where you're like, you actively in your head have been like, I have to get out of this. I can't hang with this person anymore.
yeah, I think so, but it wasn't like I think it happens probably more when you're younger because like you see people like as you're older, you just kind of drift apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I'll just like let life take care of this.
Right.
But when I was younger, I remember I had a friend who was like. He was like my best friend first through like 6th grade, and then I could just see us going different ways. Where he was like, "Hey, like, do you want to hang out? Like, a bunch of us are just gonna like smoke cigarettes and steal stuff from stores." And I would be like, "I like don't have the constitution for that," you know. So like,
It's gonna be a nice little afternoon.
Yeah,
We're gonna wild. We're gonna riot. We're gonna spread violence across the neighborhood. Would you like to join us?
yeah, we're gonna shoplift and vape. Would you want to do that? And I was like, "Nah, I
Paraphrasing
don't think so.
and simplifying of it makes it so fucking funny.
Hey, does that seem like you're seeing
yeah, it's like,
committing multiple crimes in an
you want-
afternoon at
yeah,
how old? 14
yeah,
years
yeah.
old?
I was gonna position that we play with like action figures in my basement draw, but all right, like maybe we'll do this. So like I remember that, and it was more like I didn't even know that I was, but it was more like ghosting. But I think we were both doing it to each other, where we both kind of realized
We
like
both made that
we
choice.
made this like subconscious decision that like we weren't right for each
Yeah.
other anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think
yeah.
that happens a lot. But I
Yes.
think there's also, but what I mean is like there's sometimes an active where you're like, I'm
Have the
making
talk.
the choice. Not,
Yeah.
Well, have the talk, which I think I can't picture myself ever doing that.
Outside of
What do you
Banshees
say
of
at the end of it?
Inisherin.
You know, let's
Yeah.
just be friends. You know,
Yeah.
you can't do it.
There's no friend breakup.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what a regular breakup is. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's
It's impossible.
brilliant. You can't break up with a friend. That's the go-to.
You actually you have to fuck them. You have to start.
Yeah.
You turn it into. You have to turn it into a romantic. Let's just be boyfriends.
I would like to take this. To the, you want to be friends anymore? I'd like to be more than that. But neither of us are gay.
Yeah. I guess we just have to begrudgingly fuck each other.
It'll be awful, but I just can't be your actual friend. It'll just be hookups going forward.
Yeah, but what were you gonna say before? Like you were like,
oh, I mean the one-sided ghosting. Like,
right.
Have you ever had that where you're like, I'm purposely not calling this person back because I just can't take the conversation. I can't, and then you do it long enough, and then the friendship dissipates. But they have actively been like,
oh, like they've actually been pursuing, and you're just kind of like,
I can put that on mute.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, and I think it's like something I regret now with like one friend. Where it was like, I think I did that where it was just like we were going separate ways. They wanted to hang out. I wasn't interested.
Right.
And like, it is like, how do you can't like have a talk about it.
Sad.
Yeah, it's way sadder because like it's not really something that's like expected within our society. Like in a relationship, it's expected that you might break up. But with a friend, it's not so much.
I think you'd have to be delusional at a grand level not to realize somebody wants to stop being friends, then just let it naturally go.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you get why they might have to turn around and go, hey, it's almost like what's his name from Seinfeld with the pool cleaner guy. When he's like, hey, crazy guy. And then he breaks up with him on the subway. He's like, Carlos, I only have like 2 friends.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be, to get to the point where you have the actual moment, I think 99.7% of the public picks up on shit before then and then just doesn't. But I think there's people that just don't get it sometimes.
Yeah.
And and I'm always worried about that. Like I have friends of mine that I think I told you this recently. It was like, oh, I'm the only one who calls. I'll call to catch up.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you or somebody. I was like, do you think I'm like they were trying to ghost the friendship? And I've just been like, how are you? How everything's going? Especially if they're from back in the day. You're kind of like, oh, we're friends forever. And then you're like talking. You're like, there's not much to talk about. Very different lives.
You think like secretly he's just been trying to get rid of you for like
yes, yeah. And it's like, I can't shake this fucking kid.
He's talking to his wife. Donnelly just called me.
Yeah.
No, I ignored it, of course.
But I also think I think things change after, speaking of comedy, it's like after comedy. I remember slowly things change over.
Yes.
Your whole friend group becomes comics because there's this weird different understanding of things that comics have.
Yeah, well, because you're going through such a unique thing together.
Yes.
And, and unless you're in that unique thing and having these same experiences and ups and downs, it's really hard to relate to. Like one of my closest friends is a teacher. Like there are some professions where you're like, there's some crossover where you can actually like talk about like things in a similar way, which I think helps like a friendship that's like before comedy to maintain itself in comedy.
I was gonna say it's nice that my girlfriend is in musical theater.
Right.
So she like knows at least like
yes,
show business or like weird like schedules or like
even the shorthand terms, like they know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're just miserable about something that nobody else understands.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you see like I mean everybody has this, but when you see like something happen, you're like, I don't know how that dude got that. I was like, I should have, and then
they understand that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I said that to like my mom, she'd be like, well, there's a lot of stuff. I think you're funny.
What I think it does become where we were talking about this. The positivity factor I think goes a long way, because I was talking about Bert Kreischer and I'm like, I know this is different than what you're talking about, but go to like the NV comedy thing. I'm like, he does seem like a happy guy, and he seems like a fairly assertive guy.
Yes.
I watched those Tom Segura Bert Kreischer clips and I'm like, they seem fairly confident in who they are.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to the friendship thing, I'm like, I think I think there's a healthy way to let it die out. There's like a healthy way and unhealthy way to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I think it can cause a lot of problems depending on the different personalities. But I think overall, it's like, we just don't call as much.
Yeah, I mean, I think most, like you said, man, most people understand that, and most people like will go like, I get it. You know, I think as you get older, you sort of understand like how sort of relationships don't really sever, but like they like just they become less frequent.
Yeah,
most people understand. There's like a small percentage of like friends that I've had that still were like, dude, what the fuck, man? You ignore all my calls or something like that, and I'm like, no, dude, just
life. Yeah,
life's happening.
Totally.
And you just like I like understand. Like I never take anything. I don't take much personal.
Yeah,
anymore,
same.
Because I don't think you can. Like when somebody doesn't like if I ask somebody to do something and they're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I never ask like, Why? I'm just like, huh,
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I'll find somebody else, or you know what? I'll do it with me.
Yeah, totally.
A Ray and Ray thing.
And there's also those moments. I think it was the Todd Barry bit or something. He's like, you ever not want to have plans and not want to go, and then that other person cancels.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I forget what the punchline is, but it's like that is a great feeling.
Yes.
That is a really great feeling.
absolutely.
There's not a better feeling in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like when you're 20, the best feeling is like, just coming. But yeah, like at 30 it's canceling plans.
Yeah,
like that's
yeah.
the greatest.
It's not going.
Yeah. It's just like it keeps getting more sad, I think, as you age, like where joy comes from. Like 60 you're like, 10 hours sleep or like whatever it is.
Dude,
80 you're like dying. Death would be wonderful.
You know my joy? I was talking about today. Oh, it was my girlfriend's son. He's obsessed with the World Cup, and they were doing this thing on YouTube where they go, here's the imaginary matchups for the next 50 World Cup.
Yeah.
And they were going to all the different years, and he was like 2064. I'm like, that's 2064, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a while from now. And I was like, how in 60 years I'd be 90, and I'm like, I don't want to be around. I don't want to be 90. I don't want to be 90. I want to be fucking done. Even sometimes now, I'm like, I could go tomorrow. I'd be okay with that. I think I'd be fine. I'm like, I don't want. I would never. I have suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm
of course.
a fairly happy person.
Yeah.
If you're not calling me dumb at a fucking comedy show.
I was just at my grandfather's house for his 87th birthday.
Yeah.
And my brother bought him scratch-off tickets. And he's like all pumped up. He's like, guys, I'm gonna win $100,000 on this. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what are you gonna do with that $100,000? And then my brother's like, yo, if you win $100,000, you better not tell us, because me and Ray are throwing you down the stairs.
Did he say that?
Yeah. And then my grandfather doesn't miss a beat, and he was like, all right, yeah, go ahead.
I'll
Like,
welcome,
I'm bored.
I'll
Yeah,
welcome
yeah.
Sweet, sweet death.
Yeah, just launch me. That's my only. I just want to fly again.
One more time.
But I think I play up. Like, I'll do jokes about being in my 40s and stuff. I think the pandemic made me feel older. Like, I do feel a disconnect on stage at this point. Because I don't think even you're 40 yet.
I'm 40 on the nose, but I feel the same way. Before it, I never felt it. And then coming out of it, everyone looks so much. I don't know if New York, Manhattan, I don't know if New York as a whole got younger. Or it was just like those couple years and not being around like youth, then I experience it differently.
It's 2 years of references that you're not like. Because I'll just watch the same. Like now, you were saying what brings you joy. I'm not even kidding. One of the most joyful things in my life is the Beverly Hills 90210 TikTok account.
Oh yeah, that
I
sounds
get
awesome.
emotional watching clips, TikToks.
It's just
of
old.
It's scenes. It's their official one. I don't cry. I don't cry. But I swear to God, I watch it and I have a warm feeling in my heart.
That's what a dude who cried says.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, yeah, it's fine, man. Yeah, man.
And now I'm realizing it's like I felt all sorts of retro 80s TV. Like, you know what also does it for me? They'll just give you like the TGIF ad from like a week in September of like 87 or 90. That does it for me too. It's shit that you're like, that doesn't exist anymore. Like, you can like look up old movies and stuff like that, but nobody's watching live TV anymore. Those bumpers, you knew, like, there was a certain cadence to it that you're like, hits me in a certain spot that you're like, oh my God, that was like my childhood and I never thought I'd see that again. And then now because of tech, we're just putting it on. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that way with old wrestling clips.
Oh yeah,
I see
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit, like from when I was like 13. Watching WWF.
Absolutely.
And those are like everywhere. Well, they're not everywhere. It's just in my algorithm. So it's just constantly like, hey, look, remember what you wanted to see?
I'll see like a suplex by Mr. Perfect and like start bawling for sure. Yeah.
I brought this up to me and Andy
Oh,
Fiore used to have a podcast.
Yeah.
I brought up Mad Balls from when I was a kid.
Oh man, yeah.
And he got me this for my birthday, and
That's great.
I almost cried when he gave this.
I don't know what I didn't have those.
They were like 80s. They were like sooner than you're 32. That you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, but I was one of those things we mentioned it in passing on the podcast, and then he looked it up online, got me that one, and then showed me, and I was like, I never thought I'd see one of these again. I know we talked about it, but I saw it, and I didn't freak, but I was like, holy shit, thanks. I was so excited. So I think that's a sign of, I'm not 90. We're not your grandfather, but it's like the sign of like, oh, time is, going on. And,
I try because you never want to be, because I think, especially like you're around so many people that just like once they hit that mark, they want, okay, I'm stopping. I'm going to be this time period forever, and then they're like they aren't relevant anymore, and then they start to get embittered by the youth because they're like, I used to be you, and this isn't fair, whatever it is.
It happens in comedy.
Every
second of every
dude, you
day.
start losing friends to QAnon. You're like, this is insane.
Oh,
Like,
I did. I
yeah,
lost a friend to QAnon.
yeah, totally.
And he stopped. I told the story in the podcast. My friend started sending me memes about QAnon, and I sent him back. I started sending him Fast and the Furious memes back just to fuck with him.
So good.
And then
That's really funny.
He wouldn't stop still, and then so I just said I knew this would get him. I go, just make sure you take care of your wife and your kid. And he freaked out on me. And then I thought it was done. I was like, okay, we're done. I was like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then recently he started sending me more. He was, it's about the children. You know, with all those QAnons.
It's so funny. You're like, it's about family. You like send him back. Send him back Fast and the Furious. I get it.
Dude, you got to send him the trailer for Fast 10.
Yeah.
It just came out, dude.
Which looks amazing.
It does.
The helicopter
so
thing.
Dude,
Holy
once they became self-aware to know, like, this is what we're doing, it's unbelievable.
And what makes it better is everybody's self-aware except Vin Diesel.
Yes.
He's not in on the bit.
Yeah, it's great, man. Tyrese was in outer space in a Camaro in the last movie.
I think it was a Fiero.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was a Camaro. Maybe it was a Camaro.
It was the greatest thing in the world.
I'm not even kidding you. I had a friend who like hates on the Fast and the Furious movies, and I went to see the newest one, and when it was in theaters, and I was so pumped up on it.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous. And he's like, "No, I don't like any of those movies. Are so stupid. What the fuck? What are they going to fucking space next?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. It was great."
But also,
yeah, it was amazing.
I think that Vin Diesel, he doesn't realize what it is.
Yeah.
I think he represents a portion of the audience that's like, it's about family, bro. It's like Jersey
Oh,
Mama, like
yeah.
Like it's about family. That's what it's about. It's good values in these movies.
Totally.
I told him that somebody who hadn't seen a comic that we know. They go, I haven't seen any. I go, dude, do yourself a favor. Please, I want to talk to somebody who does this. Watch the first one and watch the most recent one.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, what?
What happened?
Think about how much you have to get caught up.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, this isn't even in the same galaxy.
So we were talking about this at the club like last weekend, and somebody brought it up. It was so funny. He brought it up how like I think Fast 6 or Fast 7, whenever they do the big memorial to Paul Walker dying.
Yeah, maybe 6, I think.
Yeah, but then all the subsequent movies. They just say things about him. They're like, Paul can't be here because you know how he is. He's at another minor league baseball game. They say things that they lessen the gravity of what they created by like a million.
Pull up at the end of the car. They have a car pull up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not in there. I know he's not in there.
Everybody knows
he just has like a bunch of Christmas presents. He's like, sorry guys, I was shopping again. And you're like, why are you doing this?
Like he's on a Home Depot run. He can't make it. The kids, they have to build him a fast and that.
Also, I love that he was like a cop, not a cop. He was undercover.
Oh, it was awesome.
And he just keeps the police force keeps taking him back.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I will say this: when they did have him not die, I think they didn't know they were going to make so many more after it.
Yeah,
But when they did not have him die, I was like, that's actually a pretty classy way to end.
Oh,
that.
I thought I was crying
And
for sure.
The song was so great,
incredible,
corny and
yeah.
fantastic.
Dude, when the car goes off the ramp, I mean, I was like, oh my god, this is unbelievable.
But then, how do you explain him? Like, if they are brothers and they're all together, it's like, wouldn't he be at that? He'd be at that dinner.
Yeah, they have to. They always say a stupid thing that they're just
Like,
make
my
up.
brother's not here. He has some other business.
Yeah, he's got a doctor's appointment. And you're like,
the
oh
last
my
one
god.
doing his taxes.
The last one, I hope they just shit on him about how he misses everything. We gave him a pass, but it's starting to get pretty fucking ridiculous that Brian never comes to anything anymore. He's always pulling in late. We've already drank half the Coronas.
That would be great if they just the next one they just CGI him in as a villain.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
They're like, oh, this whole time he's been building a war machine.
They're not
and he's
above
coming
it.
after us. Yeah.
They're not above it.
Yeah, it's so funny too because they're so good at they've slowly turned the dial to you know what I mean this is not a perfect example, but Leprechaun, he's in outer space in 2 movies.
Yeah.
But with Fast and the Furious, they waited 10 movies or 9 to go to outer space.
Yeah.
It's by 20, it's they can go back in time. If they keep just shifting the window little by little, I will accept that they go back in time.
I'll accept it in 10.
Isn't this supposedly the last? Is this the last one? This is the last ride, right?
I mean,
but I'll give him two. I'll give him the next fucking movie after this one.
Yeah.
Go time travel, and Saint Germain thought that exact thing because he goes, Then they had the flashbacks.
Yes.
It was Vin Diesel and he was like 20.
Yeah.
He goes, they're gonna use those actors as they go back and visit those actors, and they should do it. Like that
They should,
be,
man.
That should be the way. What they should do is go back to the first movie.
Yes.
And then they just stop the first robbery from
That's
happening
hilarious.
and negate the entire
That's
universe.
so funny. That would be the perfect way to end it.
It'd be
They
awesome.
finally invent a car that travels fast enough to go back in time and do it.
It's just Vin
Man.
Diesel like, we wasted your fucking time. This is 20 years. This is 20 years of us just that make no sense, and you watched every minute. I cheer in the theater. Like those.
I love
here's
it.
the thing, man. Ironically, yes, they're wacky movies, but they are self-aware. And we used to talk about all the time about these kind of things where it's like they know the audience is in on it, but I legitimately have respect for those action sequences. Like, it's insane. Even from the trailer where the car, he has the two strings in the back of the car and they clunk.
Amazing.
Like Three Stooges clunk two freaking helicopters. They're amazing. Imagine the logistics that goes into shooting something like that, making it look for real.
Yeah.
And then it's also like you just know what like awesome muscular dude they're gonna add to the cast. Like, they just added Jason Momoa, and I was like, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I've been asking for, and let him take his shirt off and fight Vin Diesel. I'm not gay, but it's what I mean. It's what I've been wanting to see since we watched fucking Commando and Predator when we were kids.
Right.
You know?
That's what should happen.
It's like calling back to that. Like
That's
just
true.
ridiculous shit. Just dudes, good versus evil dudes fighting at the end and driving cool cars.
I went on the ride.
I might cry right fucking now.
I went on the ride in Universal. They have like a Fast and the
me
Furious.
too.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh man, I didn't know they had a ride.
Yeah,
That's
they have like
amazing.
Fast and the Furious ride. I think it's that they just drive you around and you almost get shot like 15 times.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a good time.
They just drive you through East LA and they take you to
You're
a
like, this
drag
feels
race.
real.
Such a little overhead. Universal.
Is that lady bleeding?
As far as movies go, I think movies do it all the time. I always said, and I know the answer now because I actually looked on the IMDb and I was like, Con Air. I was like, were they in on it or were they not in on it? I'm like, they were 100. Because if you look at the other stuff the guy wrote, it's all like tongue-in-cheek type stuff. Like, you'll be like, oh, that was a kind of a comedy. That was this.
Oh.
So Con Air, I think people back when they did it, I don't know if Nick Cage even knew, but like even this bad accent, all that. So I think there's like a level of that. I love that when you have like a movie that's for the masses and there's like a wink to the camera being like, we know this is goofy as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's like
you
the
don't,
best.
you don't think Nick Cage was swinging for the fences?
Well, I heard that on that movie, we talked about this a while ago, me and Andy, that he had such carte blanche in that movie. He would just rewrite like scenes, like he rewrote like, whole
great.
parts of the movie, and he'd be like, nah, I think I should say this. They'd be like, you got it, whatever you want. And like, I think he like changed like plot points of the like.
Wow.
And
full
they
on.
used it?
Yeah, I think they used it.
You know what's something really that just made me think of if they like were just like, yeah, we'll do that and like fake shot it and they just thought, because it just made me think of, I remember the radio station in Pittsburgh. They said that one time Tracy Morgan came in and he was so drunk and like an asshole and mean and was like motherfucking people, like hitting, like smacking people's ass there, that when he went to
Tracy Moore, really?
that when he went to the second radio station, they were like, you're not going to be able to have him on air. So they just fake record, like they just played like old stuff, and to appease him, just fake had him think that he was doing the radio show.
That's so funny.
I was like,
man,
dude, I would pay to hear that recording.
that's the funniest rock bottom story ever. Like, when did you know you did? When I did a radio spot that I actually didn't do and like assumed I did it. That's
he has
unbelievable.
no idea until this day, 'cause you know he wasn't going to like listen to himself on a fucking
Yeah, of
local
course.
radio show.
Because they knew, and he's just cursing up. He probably was just cursing up a storm.
Yeah.
That's
Taking an ass.
so
They
funny.
just put a fake host in a room and in the studio. And
No,
said,
the actual DJ or like the
The-
morning
yeah.
show team was like, we can't have this. We're just gonna play, like, we got to call an audible because we can't piss this guy off. He's already here.
Right.
So we're just gonna do like the interview part with him, and while that's going on, we'll just play music until we come back. It's a hell of an audible.
That's
Wow, man.
really smart.
That's
Because
incredible.
Also, because I think, and this is back in the day, because they would get like fines.
10 years ago.
Yeah, but still, that radio was big enough then where like, small stations gonna get like hit bad. If one of those slipped through, like one of those fucks or those motherfucks, they would get hit really bad.
When that show was like for a long time, what helped you sell comedy tickets. In
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Right,
absolutely.
yeah.
That'd be funny. You're Tracy Morgan. You're like, why did everybody show up for the show?
Yeah, he's like,
was
I
on
did
the radio.
radio. What the hell? Yeah.
You think it ever got back to him that he was like, wasn't? No, because he probably
No.
a guy like that doing morning radio. He's not even thinking twice when he leaves the building.
No.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I'm kind of glad that's done as far
I
as
know.
like road stuff goes.
I know.
There's no more radio in certain
Oh
places.
man,
Oh
that
my god.
that was the worst, man. Like when you would just be like, "Oh, cool, I just like flew across the country," and then be like, "You gotta get up at 5 tomorrow," and then you gotta do 3 spots to like, and you're like, "Where? When do I?"
Most of them never did anything. I guess it was
No,
Bob. I
ever.
remember being so nervous to do Bob and Tom, and I was in there for the first time I did it. I was in there for like 20 minutes. And I was like, I'm done. I'm doomed. I can't.
I've never had to do like the ones that were really like quirky, trying to set you up for your own jokes. Have you?
I had it, and it's similar. I watched a clip of Segura talking about some guys like, okay, when we come back from this break, he's like, you got it. I'll give you the thumbs up, and it's your time. And he goes, what? Meaning like he would just talk, and Segura's like, apparently this is his clip. I don't know why I'm counting this, but he goes, no. He goes, you go ahead, come back and don't say anything. But I'm not saying shit. But that's not how this works. And at one time I had a similar thing where during the interview, one of the hosts goes, okay, Sean, it's last comic standing. It's your 1 minute. Go. And I went, what? Go what? And he goes, go, do your bits, And I go, no, that's not how this. I don't want to do that, guys. Can we just talk and have a conversation? They're like, really? You're not going to do it? I'm like, no. I go, I'm not. I go, no. And they were like, and then it was awkward. And he's like, all right, so what about how was doing Letterman? How is that? And I felt good about myself, but it wasn't as bad as that Tom Segura thing. But it was like, I'm sitting there going, why would you do that? Why would you? Even the Bob and Tom thing, the first time I did it, where they're like, he's subtly going to give you hints about your bits.
Right.
I was so nervous I was going to miss
of course, the cues.
The little cues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad because I think it used to be even worse. I'm sure there was a time where these hosts, because I feel like some of these hosts, not like the big ones, like Bob and Tom, they're friends with comics, but there's some of these shows, such dicks, these guys, because I think they wanted to be stand-ups and they never did it.
Yeah.
So when they come in, they're like, it's this passive-aggressive, I'm going to be shitty and set you up to fail kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they were like, hey, you're doing the thing I wanted to do, so I'm going to.
Well, yeah, because they look at themselves as like, I do this every day.
It's
You
like,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm you. You like, oh, why should I give you airtime? I do this every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I haven't like, it's fun like, because like you have some that you're like, you'll be like, oh man, this guy's a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like Bennington or something where you're just like,
oh, well, that's different.
well, yeah,
Bennington's
but like a guy of that vein. Like, I mean, that you're just like, oh, this guy knows the score. Like, he knows how to just like, he knows how to get like the best comedy out of you that's not necessarily your material. But just to be like, oh, you're this. That's interesting. You know what I noticed this about being Italian or growing up this way? Like, and then like just like sets you up as like this like great podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them, because there was another Anthony DeVito who did comedy for a while. So a lot of them, they would get his bio. And I would get on there, and they'd be like, "What was life growing up in Brooklyn in the '70s?" And I would just be like, "What?"
Like, I don't know. That's my mom.
Yeah. And then and then I would be like, "No, New Jersey. I was born then." And they would be like, okay, like I would go to commercial, like they like wouldn't know what to do then.
you were on Ed McMahon's Comedy Hour. Was that? They just keep doubling down.
Literally doing that, and I would like feel bad for him because I'm like, oh, I know, like you're like, whatever, the comic that's coming in, we'll do this little bit of homework, or you gave it to an intern, whatever it was, and then like I'm a different guy who's here, and they're like, what do we do?
You're like 30. They're like, what was it like opening for Frank Sinatra?
I love the people pleaser in you was like, no, I don't feel disrespected. I felt bad he had to go through with that.
No, totally. I'm like,
at least that's not malicious. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, they just fucked up.
They just like fucked up, and now they're in the hole. And I'm like, just ask me about my more. You know what I mean? We'll figure something out. Like, there's got to be an event coming up, like that I have an idea about. You know.
Well, dude, we can't thank you enough for doing the show. That was it. It was painless.
So fun.
Painless. Very fun.
Yeah, it's great.
You're the man.
Yeah.
I
You
love
guys
you
are great.
with all my heart.
I love you. I love you, Ray.
Plug away. Plug stuff away. Live dates or social medias.
You just follow me on Instagram at comedian Anthony DeVito, and watch my special on YouTube called Brain Noise.
Fantastic.
And, I don't think I've. Oh, March 19th, I'm doing my Dad is a Danny DeVito solo show at Littlefield.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. I've seen it. It's awesome. It's so cool.
Where's that at?
Oh, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, New York.
Dude, I've never been like able to like make it. I really want to come see it.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Thanks, man.
Plug away there, Ray.
Yeah, I'm at Ray Be Killing 'em on all social media. You could catch the brand new Jerks every single Thursday. We are on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Pods. We're on all the other things that you can listen to podcasts on that I can't remember right now. And Sean, where can they find you?
I'm at Shawnee Time on Instagram, and then TikTok is at Shawnee Time TikTok. And I have a thing. I've been posting me talking to people about UFO videos. On Twitter, it's UFO Street, and then on TikTok, it's UFO Street. So check those out, and I'll be in the city this weekend. So it's crazy.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye, guys. Oh, we didn't do our shake.
You get in here.
I wish we could
shake
all
hands with us.
we would all handshake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do
Oh,
awkward
that's
handshakes
great.
in the show. All right.
Bye, guys.